Hello everybody, this is Stellarum, back again with another episode of Stellarum KSP. So on today's episode, let's just go into the mission control room as normal. We've got 5 missions that, I've got more than 5 missions, but I've got 5 missions that I'm going to try to design a mission around. So I have a mission to build an orbital station around Kerbin. So that station has to have an antenna, a docking port, and can generate power. And it also needs to have a facility supporting at least 5 Kerbals. So we can do this. There's also build a new orbital station around the Mun. So these two, I'm actually going to build a station around Kerbin and then put some propulsion around it so that it can get to Mun. And then from there, that's how I'm going to do this third mission, dock 2 vessels in orbit of Kerbin. So that's going to be the first 3 parts, is building a station around Kerbin, docking the vessels so we build it in Kerbin orbit, and then also get the orbital station around the Mun. Then from there, I'm going to use that as a staging ground to perform a landing on the Mun. So this part I haven't figured out yet, but once I get there I'll be able to plant a flag on the Mun and do some more science from the Mun. And the idea of this station is that I'll be able to go to all the different biomes around the Mun and really collect as much data as possible so that I can, or so that we can try to use that to our advantage. So from there, let's go back into, I've got the first part ready in my vehicle assembly building. So let's go in there. You can see I've got quite a bit of delta V in this. And I do have to add one thing. I just noticed I needed a way to communicate. So I'm going to add that right away. Let's just go in here and find a suitable spot for that. I think we're going to want it, let's just put it right around here. That should be good. Okay, so now with that ready, what is this station looking like? Well, it's basically a science pod, a processing lab, with a bunch of scientific instruments. So there's the goo container, there's the thermometer, the barometer, and then we also have the science junior pod, and then it's just on an adapter with a docking port. So really this is the science module for the space station. So this is kind of where the guts, the meat of all the science is going to happen. And then there's also a cupola. So as anybody who follows the space station, they know that the cupola is very important, and so that's what we wanted to have on there. We want some place for our Kerbals to be able to enjoy themselves. The rest of this is just the rocket that we're going to use to get there, and I've tried to make it as good as possible. So there's quite a bit of thrust to weight right off the bat. There's enough delta V to get us pretty far actually, even with this pretty heavy stuff at the top. We have 7.8 kilometers per second of delta V. That's pretty good. But what I also want to do is try to save this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save a sub-assembly of this. So let's go in here, add a custom category. Yeah, you know what, I'll do this after, just to make sure I don't mess anything up. So this is saved, we're all ready to go. Let's head off to the launch pad and let's get to orbit. I also added some parachutes onto these secondary parts here, just to try to recover them if we can. If we don't, no big deal. The parachutes don't cost all that much, so it's no skin off my back. So let's see, how much do these cost? They're just 400. Not too bad. Okay, let's go launch. Okay, so we have our SAS on. We're all ready to do the launch. Let's see if we've got all the staging done properly here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So the first stage includes these solid boosters just to get the thrust of weight up a little bit. So let's put the accelerator, the throttle rate down to the max, and we can go ahead and take off. So the goal of this is we're going to try to put this into an orbit around 250 kilometers above the surface of Kerbin. So let's just aim for that. We're going to try to do a gravity turn. Probably start around 2 or 3 kilometers up, but we don't have to go all that steep. Hopefully we can recover these boosters or all of the solid fuel boosters, and then the secondary boosters with the liquid fuel as well. We'll see if we can recover those. If not, no big deal. It's just trying to save a little bit of money, but finishing these missions is going to certainly cover the cost for all this, and then some. So we're going to get enough money to start upgrading some more stuff and that sort of thing. Try to turn over just a little bit and let our rockets go. Start getting our gravity turn going just a little bit. Don't have to be all that steep, but just enough to say. I really like the thrust to weight of this rocket, and it wasn't too aggressive at the start, but it was enough to get us up to close to 200 meters a second pretty quick. I really find that 200 meters a second is kind of your sweet spot going through the lower atmosphere. So it's not too fast, but it's not going to take too long, and it's not that inefficient. But you're also not generating a lot of drag from aerodynamic effects and that sort of thing. Let's get those guys going. Hopefully they're going to recover. We'll see. They're still coming up. So we'll take a look at that after. Let's keep going on our gravity turn. So as you can see, we have plenty of delta V. It's actually going up right now because we're going through the atmosphere and our engines are getting more and more efficient. So that, especially that second stage here, or that last stage, we've got like 4,000 delta V. So that is really good. We're probably not going to use all of it to get, we're not going to use it, barely any of it to get to orbit. But it's going to give us enough that we're going to be able to start using that fuel to send us on our way to the Mun at some point. We'll have to figure out, I'm going to take a look at the next part of this mission. It's going to be sort of a central control type stage. So we'll see how that gets put together, and then we'll figure out exactly what we want to do with that. Try to get this right along the 90-degree line. We could be a bit more aggressive here. Start turning over. Our velocity starting to get up above 400. I don't see any heating effects. I don't think that's going to cause any problems. And we're going up fast enough that we're going to be above 30 pretty quickly here. And I think that's going to be fast enough that we're not going to have any issues with overheating. So we can start gravity turning a little bit faster, and pretty soon I'm just going to start going straight to orbit. Let's keep going a little bit. Certainly above 30, I'm just going to lock to prograde orbit. So there's a difference between the surface velocity and the orbit velocity, because orbit velocity is actually straight around the mass of Kerbin without any movement, but the surface is actually rotating. So you do have a little bit of a an initial rotation as you start your launch. And let's just lock that to prograde. I don't have to steer anymore. Yay! So that's why there's a difference between orbit and surface mode. You do have to take account of surface mode because that's kind of what your aerodynamic effects are seeing. But at this point, you're high enough that the aerodynamics are small enough that it doesn't really cause that much of an issue, and you're better off just going to prograde on the orbit, just because you can. It's a more efficient launch that way. The more you're pointed to prograde during your launch, the more efficient your launch is going to be. Yes, we're not going to need a lot of delta V at the end of this, but that's alright. That's good. We're heading straight into the sun. Not literally to the surface of the sun. It would take a little bit more than that, but that might be a kind of an interesting issue, or interesting little mission. Trying to go straight at the sun. To 120, 30, into space. And we can switch to the next stage, keep going. And we might want to slow down. So let the apoapsis get up to 250. We're still 4 minutes away from that, so that's good. Great. So let's circularize at the next apoapsis, create and execute. What are we doing for charge? We're doing pretty good. Only going to be a 30-second burn, it's saying here. We'll see. Right around that. Great. Okay. So we have our... Did we complete the mission? Do we need 10 seconds here? I think this is going to complete the mission of a station in orbit around Kerbin. Let me just double check. Have a facility supporting at least 5 Kerbals. How many Kerbals can you get in... Not enough crew. 0, 1. It's only saying I can get 1. Okay, so it's only got 2 Kerbals. Okay, so we need to make sure we have enough for 3 more Kerbals for sure. I might end up having more than that, but we'll see. So the next mission is going to be the control section. So we're going to have to figure out how to do that. But for now, this looks pretty good. I'm just going to hit, I have the action group set up for the lights, so if we just hit the lights here, the lights turn on. There's actually some lights right at the front, so that if we're in the dark, you can see the front. and what we're looking for. So you can kind of see you got a little bit of a light set up there. And then I've also got the solar panel set up on those lights. So this is going to generate power. We've got a probe core here that's doing all the control for us, and we're looking pretty good. So I believe with that, I am going to go and set up the next stage. I will show you briefly what it looks like, and then I'm probably just going to go straight to launch and get it launched and into orbit. And in the next episode, I think that's what I'm going to do for the next episode. And in the next episode, I'll show you guys docking this, and then maybe we'll start heading to the Mun. Actually, perfect timing. We're heading straight at the Mun. So maybe we'll be heading towards the Mun next time. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm going to have one more docking or if I'm going to need to do a second docking as well. So there might be a second docking, and we'll have to see, I guess. So if there's a second docking, then we'll need to do that. We'll need to do that next time, or either next time or the episode after that, or something. So, okay. And in any case, I'll see you guys next time. Have a good week, and I'll see you guys next week.